In December 2009, my husband Mihao and I were travelling from Sydney to Hong Kong on our way to the Philippines to shoot a documentary. So when we were in Hong Kong for a week, we met with a friend, Dave Sutherland, who is also the chair of the board of directors of a charity that works in the Philippines. So we had lunch with him and we told him a bit about what we were doing, and he told us about this project that he wanted to do in the Philippines, which was to start a children's choir.
Every year ICM presents the needs of the community to a large crowd in Hong Kong, and in prior years we'd done different things. This year I was hoping that we could come up with a choir, one child from a urban area, one from a rural area, one from a fishing village, some that had benefited from the preschool program, some from the transform programs, some from the medical programs, and then put all of these kids from these very diverse backgrounds together. So I met Mihao and Louise, and I knew they were going to the Philippines to work on a different project for 6 months, and I asked them if they would be interested to work with us to try to create this children's choir.
So we're in Bacolod City right now. This is where we're going to be based for the next 5 months. So I'm just about to meet the kids who've been selected for the children's choir. Right now there's 10 children, I think, that have been chosen, and they're all from different parts of Bacolod. So I don't really know what to expect from this first meeting. I know it's definitely going to be a great experience, but definitely going to be challenging. My name is Louise. I'm 20 years old. And I come from England. England is all the way on the other side of the world, and it's very cold.
The first meeting was actually a little bit tough, because they were very shy. In the Philippines, there's a slight barrier between foreigners and locals, and so these kids were a little bit nervous of me, didn't really know, if I was going to be strict or if I was going to be fun, or so. So the first time I met them, I got them all to sing something small for me.
Their hands by your side. That's good.
I wonder, have I done my best for Jesus, who died upon the cruel tree, to build the world a home and furnish it with love, grow up all trees and honeybees and snow white turtle doves. Seeking you up as precious truth, Lord, forgive if I be a fool. You are my only love. I am the flower quickly fading in a day without tomorrow. Away you touch me in the ocean, away for random winds, and by my life and where your spirit is within me, because you died and rose again. Amazing love, how can it be that you, my King, will die for me? Oh, come, let us adore Him. Oh, come, let us adore Him. Oh, come, let us adore Him, Christ the Lord. Give me one moment in time when I'm more than I thought I could be. Some way of the love that we have can be saved whenever the text will find a way.
I was very encouraged, but I knew that we had lots of work to do.
Okay, I'm just going to say something quickly first. Just some really quick lesson, which maybe you can translate. So when we sing, first thing is really important is how we stand. So we're going to stand with feet apart, nice and straight, shoulders back. Okay, so not like Not like this, okay? Just nice and tall, head up, smiling, and eyes looking forwards, okay? So you just look really confident, like, you know, when you sing, you're telling everybody in the world what's in your heart, okay? So, now we're going to do something called lip trills. Have you done these before? Like this, where you squeeze your lips like a fish? When you sing, the sound shouldn't be at the back of your throat, the sound should come forward. So when you do this with your lips, it helps you place the sound at the front of your mouth.
In the next few weeks after I'd first met the kids, we did a few more auditions from some surrounding areas, and we finally came up with our choir, which was 14 children, and I had to get them ready for a performance. And so I knew that they all had raw potential. That's why they'd been selected. But we had a long journey to take them on. When we first started doing warm-ups and exercises, I'd sing a note, and some of them would be a little bit below it, some of them would be a bit above it, and that was a hard thing. They couldn't all even sometimes sing one note. Also, the language barrier was sometimes a bit tough. I'd explain something and I'd say, "Do you understand?" And they're all like, "Mm-hmm," and then they don't do it. So it was that was tough. But I had obviously locals who were helping me as well. All the kids in the choir had been involved in some way or another with ICM, which is the charity that we were working on behalf of. ICM works with families who live on less than 50 US cents per day. So these are families who are, in real hard poverty situations. So we knew that the kids that were in the choir were poor, but we didn't really know the extent of the poverty that they lived in. They all came to practice, and they were well dressed, very well presented. You couldn't tell from their outward appearance that they were in poverty. And it wasn't until we started to visit their homes and meet their families that we really saw what desperate situations they lived in.
Three years ago, my father left and we have nowhere to live.
There are 10 children in my family.
My parents left me, so now I live with my grandparents. Sometimes I have no money for food at school. I'm the youngest of 6 children. There used to be 9 of us, but 3 of my siblings died.
For us, seeing these real situations of real children that I see, every week or every few days, just made it so important, the work that we were doing, because the choir represents millions of lives across the Philippines. It's not just these 14 kids, and the songs that they were singing aren't just about themselves. The project was so that the stories of these people can be told.
We really didn't know how the choir was coming along, so in June we decided to go and see how things were going and hear how the kids performed.
So we had that to prepare for, but we knew that there was still quite a long way for us to go. The kids had learnt the songs, but they still needed a lot of work on their voices and performance technique. So the summer holidays started, and we stepped it up a little bit, started doing practices a few times a week, and then we decided that we'd take them on a camp, which would be a great way, obviously, for the kids to keep getting to know each other and bond as a choir, but also, for them to get some intense training. So we organised this camp and took them to a place called the Prayer Mountain for 4 days. Over these 6 months, I'd been getting to know the kids, and I think by that time they really felt like almost part of, the family. They called me Mommy Lilu, and they called me Daddy Mishu, and I think by that time, we really had formed very strong bonds with them and felt responsible for their lives in some ways. And they were doing really, really well. They were all, Filipino kids in general are very attentive, very well behaved. And these kids especially, I think they knew that they were privileged to have the chance. And so they really put everything into it. Their voices were getting better each week, and they were hitting high notes and learning more about music in general. So the day of the performance comes. The kids had one practice performance, which they'd done to their parents, but apart from that, really, they were very inexperienced. So we went and had a run through before everyone was there. And when they did that rehearsal, I was blown away. I'd never seen them sing like that. And I just, goosebumps and tears in my eyes. And I think that when you're so close to something like that, often you don't see the emotion because, I was so focused on getting the parts right and, standing up straight and not fidgeting. But that dress rehearsal, I think I allowed myself to see what they had achieved, and I was blown away by them. And I think if that had been the end of it, even there, I would have been so proud of the kids that they'd, come on this journey and grown, not just musically, but in every way.
When we came down to Bacolod to see the kids' choir performance, I was skeptical that they were going to do a good job. I had no idea. And when we came back to Hong Kong, I just told everyone in the Hong Kong office, we just have to get the choir to come because they were just so good.
So the day after the performance, we left the Philippines and went to Hong Kong. And we were on our way back to Europe for a few months. While we were in Hong Kong, again, we met with Dave, and then he asked us whether we were available to come back and continue training the kids. After we arrived back in the Philippines in October, I was obviously, really looking forward to seeing the kids again. And so I went to that ICM base ready for the first practice, and they weren't there. Carol, who was the lady I'd been working with, she was there, and she said, "Oh, they're late, they're coming, but they're just late." And we waited 10 minutes, 15, 20, half an hour. And I was thinking, do they not know I'm coming back, or do they not care, or what? I was getting a little bit impatient, but it turned out that they'd all been busily preparing this welcome back performance for us. That was our welcome home, and then we got on with the work. We decided with Dave and Deanna that we were going to prepare 2 new songs for the Hong Kong trip. And so we wanted to put together a project that would connect the audience to the kids in a really personal way. So we used a song about dreams, and actually the kids all, during that song, share a little part of their dreams.
My dream is to be a singer to help my family and community.
My ambition is to build a hospital where all the treatment is free and I would work there as a doctor.
I dream of working as a teacher to help children and to help my family.
I want to invent something that will contribute to the human race.
My dream is to be a pastor and to stay in the Philippines to help my community.
My dream is to be a doctor and serve people.
My dream is to be a seaman so that I can travel.
And to kind of go along with that, we put together something called the Dream Book, which is we asked all the kids to draw one of their dreams and put that in a book together with a portrait which had been taken by a friend of ours, Tomek, who's a photographer and who'd come with us on the trip to the Philippines.
And so hold on to me, let your eyes be free, and time tests your smile, but wisdom grits her teeth. She'll do more than grin and bear it, because my desire, my desire, my desire, my desire, my desire, my desire, my desire is that you dream, that my desire, my desire is that you dream, that my desire is that you dream.
Out of that, Tomek was able to put together an exhibition in a local art gallery. So all the kids had a beautiful portrait in an art gallery, and during the opening they performed, which for them was a really cool experience. The TV came with the cameras and they were in the spotlight. So that was first of all good experience, and then second of all really good fun for them.
Ginlaragway sang tatlo ka mga Polish nga sanday Michal Juhachimowski, Luis Juhachimowski kag Tomek Mateusiak ang handom sa mga kabataan pinaagi sa mga pictures, videos kag mga music. Sama sobra pulo ka bulan nga pag-updanay, ila na diskubrihan ang talento sang 14 ka mga kabataan nga gikan sa nagkalain-lain nga barangay sang syudad sang Bacolod.
The name is Akondamgo. The purpose is to invite the audience to expand their dreams by viewing dreams of kids who are from slum areas and rural areas.
Ila ginpili ang mga bata nga wala sa ikasarang sa handom nga mabuligan sila para abi sa ila mahapos tudloan ang mga Pinoy.
The dreams are not selfish. They want to help others. They want to help their families. I can definitely say that the most welcoming. Even if they don't have much, they'll give you everything they have. And
these are a project for the underprivileged children. And we're hoping gallery audiences will be part of.
Handom sa International Care Ministries Organization nga mabuligan ang mga kabataan nga mahatagan sa edukasyon kag itudlo nga hindi upang ang kapigaduhon sa paglambot sang ilang mga handom kag mayara pa sang paglaom. Minya Lopez, TV Patrol, Negros.
One of the things that we decided to do while we were still in the Philippines was to take the kids to a recording studio and record the songs. It was a good learning experience for all of us. And so, the headphones were too big, so some of them had to put towels under the headphones so that they would actually fit. And so for them it was all totally brand new. In the studio, the space is very dead, so you hear all the imperfections in your voice. And because they were singing just in a small group, they didn't have the strength of being in the choir that they usually have. And so I think for us, when we were sitting in the control room and listening to them, we really found out that they're definitely Although they'd come a long way, they weren't professional singers at all. But I think, even though there were some imperfections, I think the power of the choir was that they had real stories and they weren't polished professionals. They were real kids from real places.
Helpless, but not all fool. The ones above don't give us time. It seems to them we're just a fuck all along. So meow. Daddy Mishu. Meow. Daddy Mishu. Daddy Mishu.
During all of our preparations for getting the kids ready to go to Hong Kong, we ran into some problems with getting their passports and visas. For Carol, who was trying to get it done while we were away, it was just a huge amount of work. And so when we arrived back, we were asking, okay, what's the process, what's the status of all the kids?
We processed all the papers, but actually 4 of them had a conflict. And like Lisa's case, the parents are not, they're married, but the attorney did not endorse the papers. That's why when we get the result, it has no record in the National Statistics Office. And if we will work out with that, we will be extending time, and it's too late for her. And also for Trisha and Michael Chan, they have actually the same case because both of them don't have a record. And in Gretchen's case, this one is quite complicated because the parents are not married, and the grandmother and the grandfather would like to adopt Gretchen, which is really a long process. So it will take like a year and even more than a year.
It meant that 4 of these kids wouldn't have the same opportunity that the rest of the choir had. And it wasn't like it was their fault. It wasn't like because of anything they'd done. They'd still come to all the practices. They'd worked just as hard as the other 10 kids. They deserved it just as much. I felt really helpless. I just felt heartbroken that there was nothing we could do. And so that was awful, really, to have to tell these kids that they can't go because they don't have a birth certificate. That was difficult because on one hand, we're overjoyed and so excited about these 10 kids who are going to go to Hong Kong and experience, incredible things. And really for them, it is a once-in-a-lifetime trip. They probably won't get the chance again. So on one hand, we're overjoyed, and then on the other hand, you have to really console and be sorry for the other kids who can't go.
One of the big challenges of people in poverty is that while they may work very hard, they may have a lot of skills, they may be very ingenious in the things they do, the many traps that confront them are things that they're not able to easily overcome. So for example, people can be trapped through simple things like lack of access to education. Many of the kids get born inside the slums, and their parents don't think to take them to get a birth certificate, and that one small action can trap that child who then grows up to be an adult in poverty for the rest of their life.
If we base on the 2000 census of population, percentage of unregistered Filipinos that were not registered at the local civil register, I think between 10 to 11%. But now I think the figure is going down because of the efforts of the government.
The day before we left, all the kids brought their clothes and shoes and everything that they wanted to take with them to the ICM base, and we all packed our stuff together. So that evening was our last time together with all the kids, and it was the time that I had to say goodbye to 4 of them. And the 4 kids who I was leaving behind, 2 of them actually were really, really strong voices in the choir, and so obviously I was sad to leave the kids, but I was also, sad about their voices, that the choir would lack those strong voices. We said goodbye, bought them some gifts to remember us by, and mixed emotions definitely on that day. The next morning, we all got to the ICM base early. We loaded everything onto these 2 Filipino vans, which are just open air. They just shoved all the bags in one and shoved all the people in the other, and so it was a definite squeeze because all the parents obviously wanted to come along to the airport. So they said goodbye and we checked in, and they were just so in awe of the aeroplanes and the airport, and especially David Paul, who's the youngest. He's 7 years old.
I want to be a pilot and a pastor.
You want to be pilot now?
Yeah, and pastor.
And he's asking me, I don't know, all these questions about how does the airplane fly, and how many people can you fit in, and why are some of the airplanes big, and what happens if we crash into a building, and what happens if one of the wings of the planes fall off. I'm like, well, but he's a really incredible kid. He's just got this incredible mind, and he just remembers details and sees everything and remembers everything. The kids were staying in these beautiful houses. Some of them were in, kind of prime Hong Kong real estate locations. But even things like having running hot water in the house, they'd never had that before. Aircon, all the kids' toys that were in the house, and just, electronics and mobile phones and massive TVs. They probably thought they were in heaven. And so I know all the kids had, really great connections with the family that they stayed in, and it was just a different world to them. In the Philippines, there's a large percentage of people that go abroad to work, and so in Hong Kong there's a lot of Filipino ladies who work as domestic helpers and maids. And on Sundays in Hong Kong, all the maids have a day off. They all go out and they sit together in the streets. And so on Sundays you walk through the city and there's just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of maids, and they sit on cardboard or they sit on blankets. And I think it was interesting for the kids to see actually how Filipinos live abroad, because it probably changed their perception a lot, that it's not this glamorous lifestyle, but actually they work really hard 6 days a week, and then on the day off they sit on the streets. So I think that was really great that, part of their worldview changed, and hopefully maybe that will encourage them to think twice about leaving their families for different countries. The banquet was towards the end of our time in Hong Kong, and so during the days that we had before that, we had quite a full schedule. The kids had a few performances in some schools and some churches, and we were also able to make some of their dreams come true by taking them to Disneyland. And somebody had donated some money specifically so that they could all buy a souvenir, and so we took them to the gift shop and they all tried to make their money go as far as they could, and so that was great that they all got to take something home to their families too.
David Paul, where are you going?
In outer space! Up there.
And so obviously it was great for them to do all these things, but at the same time, you know, it was quite tiring, their schedule. Their voices were getting quite tired from all the screaming on the ride. So I was getting a little bit nervous that, you know, I didn't want them to be tired out before the banquet, because obviously that was what we were here for. I had to make sure that 2 days before we chilled out our schedule a little bit and just tried to make sure that you know, everything would be okay for the banquet. The day of the banquet came, and we were there early in the morning, you know, helping, because there was, you know, it was a huge ballroom, and so we had to help get everything set up, the video and the audio, as well as the tables and all the displays. And during the rehearsals on the day, David, who was, you know, running the banquet, he just said how impressed he was at their focus, because obviously, you know, while they were practicing on the stage, there was loads going on all around. And David was just so impressed that they just got up on the stage, and when we told them to stand up straight, they stood up straight. When we told them to sing, they sung. And so obviously I was so proud of them, you know, that they weren't just all over the place or, you know, talking, running around. Then it was quite a long wait for them. You know, they'd been ready for maybe an hour before they actually, you know, got called up. And obviously my heart was beating so fast, and so they got on the stage and they were just incredible. After they performed, the kids from the choir went to each table, to each person on the table, and they gave out dream books which showed their stories, showed where they came from and showed what their dreams were. So that was great because some of them were giving out autographs and, you know, getting kisses and having photos. And one girl, Rizelle, for every single person who she gave a dream book to, which is maybe 40 or 50 people, she gave them the book, opened it up and showed her picture and showed her dream and said, this is where I live, this is where I'm from. And that was so powerful because I think it gave the people at the banquet a real emotional connection to someone who had been helped by ICM. And at the banquet they raised more money than they've ever raised before, which I'd like to think that partly that's due to the kids being there and them doing an incredible job of sharing their stories and showing the incredible work that ICM does. The day the kids were leaving, we all got up really early to take them to the airport. And on the way I had a chance to look back at the time we'd spent and I knew that this was a life-changing opportunity for these kids. Saying goodbye was really hard because I really had no idea if I would see them again. It could be years. And I think the hardest thing for me was not knowing what was going to happen to them. Obviously they're, you know, part of the choir and that gives them some support and stability in life, but once they're older and they grow up, I feel like I have a responsibility for them in their lives, but there's no guarantee that they won't grow up living in poverty and in hardship. And you know, I just hope that everything that we invested into them will have fruit and will stay a part of their lives, and that the words of encouragement and the positivity and being part of the group of kids, I know that it's changed all of them, and I know that they'll change people's lives too because of that. But I saw the kids sooner than I expected. The following April, we were flying back to the Philippines for a kids camp, and to our surprise, we saw an article in the In-Flight magazine about the ICM Hong Kong banquet, highlighting the choir's performance. I felt so proud, and I couldn't wait to arrive and see the kids again. We arrived at the camp where the choir was enjoying their summer, and we were all overjoyed to see each other again. Soon I found out that the kids had become very popular while we were away, and by that time they had given over 30 performances. What started as just a 6-month project had now become an integral part of all these kids' lives, and there were still more opportunities to come. To start with, we wanted the 4 children who had missed the trip last year to be able to go to Hong Kong. After months of paperwork, they finally received their passports, and in September they travelled to Hong Kong to perform at that year's banquet.
My name is Michael John. I'm 12 years old. I'm the youngest of 6 children. There used to be 9 of us, but 3 of my siblings died. Recently, my father passed away and my family is being forced to move. My dream is to help my family reconstruct our home.
My name is Gretchen and I'm 12 years old. My parents left me, so now I live with my grandparents. They wanted to adopt me, but the paperwork was too difficult. Life is tough where I live, so I'm just happy to be alive for one more year.
My name is Lisa. I'm 13 years old. I live in my grandmother's house and help in her store. A few years ago, my grandfather got sick with cancer and is still taking medication. My family borrowed a lot of money to pay for this, but thanks to ICM, we can start pay off the debt.
My name is Trisha and I'm 9 years old. My family was forced to move, so now we live here. My father works in the field, but for 6 months there is no work.
I've seen the choir a few times, but then it's the first time I've actually seen it with a video. And I think the video makes it a lot more memorable, and then it sort of gives you like a background or a backdrop to see where they come from. And for these kids to actually have that type of a joyful sound, I mean, after like going through so much, I mean, it really is quite incredible.
For us, the choir and ICM have been part of us as a family, doing things as a family, us as just, I don't know, just enjoying times and being grateful for what we have, but then also knowing that we can help others.
When I was going to the children's choir, I didn't know what to expect. I just knew that it was for a good cause as it was explained to me. And what I experienced was something that I can only explain as soulful. There was such an honesty and purity to not the voices by themselves, but the stories they were telling and how they were telling it, because it is who they are. It is their story, and there is no way to fake something like that. They believe it, they live it, they want to make a difference.
We realized that the choir story had traveled even further than we had anticipated when we received an invitation from the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. This was incredible news, but we couldn't get too excited yet. We needed to prepare an hour-long stage show, but even that seemed simple compared to the long and time-consuming process of applying for visas. For Filipinos in general, it is very hard to get visas for the US, but for kids who live in the slums, it's almost impossible.
I think so, but maybe you can check anyway. Can you check anyway the open dates?
Eventually, we managed to schedule all the kids' visa interviews on the same day, and even though we weren't very hopeful, early in the morning on the 8th of November, we went to the embassy.
I'm so happy today because all visas are approved.
We were interviewed by the interviewer, and that's it. It's just like ding.
I'm excited to go to America and to see different places and snow and tall buildings.
Now we had 2 weeks to finalize the show, book other performances, and organize the logistics of the entire trip. But before we knew it, we were on our way.
First, Bacolod to Manila. Then, Manila to Japan.
Then Japan to US. Then New York to Washington. The most different things in the US is the building because they are so big.
It's Philippines and Oblables.
It's so clean The people are so beautiful and handsome. The house in the US are 3 times bigger than my house. It has so many rooms. Like it has a room for kitchen, it is a room for bedroom, it is a room for dining room, but our house is one room, kitchen, bedroom, dining room.
We arrived the day after Thanksgiving, so the entire country was busy getting ready for Christmas. The kids were able to experience the magic of the festive season as we know it. Their host families organised Christmas tree decoration and building gingerbread houses. One evening, all dressed up in their hats and scarves, they went ice skating, which was a lot of fun, especially for the spectators. The kids were really looking forward to their performances. The first weekend they sang at a few church services, and the next week they sang at an ICM dinner at the Ronald Reagan Center in Washington, D.C. with the Filipino ambassador as guest of honor. But the main event was coming up. The evening the kids were performing was also the Kennedy Center Honors Night, so the ballroom was full of celebrities. Even President Obama and his wife were there, so the venue was surrounded by police and Secret Service. It all added to the magnificence of the occasion. But on the Millennium stage where the kids were performing, the adrenaline was extremely high. It was the premiere of our show and there were lots of moving parts. The performance was being streamed live on the Kennedy Center website, so everyone was really nervous.
The sun goes down, another day without rain comes to an end. As a new dawn breaks, the ground is blessed by the beauty of rain. A barren land
It was a huge success. The kids got a standing ovation, and I knew that they had experienced something that most people in the world would never experience. Before we flew back to the Philippines, we spent a day in New York City, and despite the rain, it was an unforgettable time. On our last night, the kids had a wonderful Christmas party with friends they had made on the trip. To top it all off, their wishes came true when they saw snow for the first time.
We like jumping around because that was the first time that we saw snow. Snow is like ice that is like a powder, and it's white and it's very cold. You can make a snowball, everything.
And of course, the snow became the highlight of the trip. When they arrived home, it was the first thing they told their families. Yet again, the kids were returning from a different world. It made me wonder, had they gained something more than these unforgettable experiences? What will happen when we eventually leave? Will I have the same uncertainty about their futures that I felt before?
There are no easy solutions to poverty. You can't just give people a handout, give someone a new house or a large amount of money and pretend that they will be freed from poverty. It doesn't work that way. They've lived generations in those sorts of circumstances, and a windfall doesn't change their lifestyle and won't actually liberate their families. So instead at ICM, we've discovered that the best way to get people out of poverty is education. They need to understand how to change their own lives. And so we've developed a values, health, and livelihood curriculum that we think is having a dramatic impact on people's lives. With the ICM choir becoming such an important part of the ICM family, we wanted to be sure that each of those parents got a chance to go through the curriculum again so that they can really change their lives for themselves. Also, we wanted to offer each of the children a scholarship so they can go to college.
When we found out that Sir David is going to give us scholarships, I was very, very happy because I thought I could never go to college.
So now I'll plan to taking up secondary education. I will be a teacher, and if I graduated to university, I will also go to Bible school.
I want to become a nurse, and one day I help people who needs help. In our 2.5 years in the choir, I changed my character, like I can speak English nicely to other people.
My shyness, because when I was in the choir in our church, I'm shy to go on the stage by myself, but now I'm not shy because of the choir.
Because the talent fee, my house is finished now.
My family proud of me because I'm singing in US.
My brother worked for ICM for maybe 10 years already. Also, my sister is a scholar of ICM, and also my mom works for ICM. And now I'm a scholar of ICM, and that really helps a lot because not having a father around is very, very hard.
I become strong, and I know that I can overcome all the tests that come into my life, and so now I can play piano, guitar, and so now the choir is like my family.
The kids are getting older, and I know that they aren't going to be a choir forever. But I now have faith that when we eventually move on, they have been given the tools that they need to lift themselves out of a life of poverty. They've seen that there's a world full of opportunities, that if they work hard and keep pushing forward, they can achieve their dreams. These kids have found hope, and now through their stories they are sharing it with thousands of others. They are on a journey to a brighter future, and every great journey begins with short steps.
One step at a time, we